Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
We're going to do nothing for after our Kenny Danico.
Nope, nothing.
No, they deserve nothing. The one thing that you will always get from the Uncle Puckers, whether you like it or not, is we will be brutally honest no matter what about this team. And we heap so much praise on them when they're doing well that we sound like the biggest homers in the world. But when they're not, we're going to fucking call it the way it is. And that's kind of where we're at tonight. We got 2 games since we last saw you guys, Montreal, and then back-to-back against Washington. Washington was at home. It was up at the Bell Center for Montreal. Chris and Bobby, Uncle Puckers, with you here tonight. And yeah, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some ugly. But how you doing, Bob?
I'm doing well, man. All things aside with the game, doing well. Got some pretty exciting things coming up this weekend. I didn't even tell you about this. So one of the reasons that I'm not chatting with you tomorrow, we got one of our cousins here, a young kid. He's a kicker for high school, and he's a family
kicker
of 4
on the
boys.
football team.
Okay.
Okay.
He was the one boy out of 4 that played soccer his whole life. And then when he got into high school, he's like, you know what? I want to play football. Maybe I'll try to be the kicker. He's a kid who's been kicking his whole life.
Yeah.
So sure enough, makes a team, varsity team as a freshman. He's been kicking. He got picked up by a guy who runs like a kicking camp. He's been back and forth to Florida a couple times. Now it's his senior year, and we're going up to see his last game tomorrow, and he's been scouted.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Scouted. The guy he hooked up with when he was like a sophomore said, stick with me, stick with my program. I'll get you into the scouting views and all that. So he's been to like Connecticut. I forget which school. Right now he's going to UPenn, which is his choice. And it's really cool because they send him like a scouting tape and they invite the family and they get like pregame and 50-yard line seats. And they really, are trying to
awesome.
Recruit. He's got a real legitimate chance of being a kicker for one of these like major universities.
That's
and
now like a D1 school, like a legit D1 school, huh?
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's awesome.
So we have to go see his last game, because that's just so awesome. So
let me tell you something.
We're proud of him.
Now he's a field goal kicker, or punter, or both.
Both.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Not many people do both. And if you're good, even if you're just good at one of them, like to the point, your college numbers are good, and you can hit, post 50 at maybe a 70, 72, 75% rate, you can have
I don't know what his rate is. I know he's posted a 65 before.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, swear to God, dude. I'm not kidding. So like I said, maybe it was a one shot. I don't know. I don't know his rate. I know I have seen him play once before 2 years ago, and he got all 4 or 5 kicks. He has 2 extra points and 3 from your average distance.
Right.
But yeah, he goes out and just practices and just kicks.
Have you ever tried to kick a field goal?
Yeah, I used to go up to high school and just plant the ball.
It's so fucking hard. Like it looks
is.
Like the easiest thing in the world, but to actually get that ball up in the air and some air under it, it's so freaking difficult.
Well, if it ain't spinning right, that kind of end over end,
right,
it's just going to go all over the place.
And that's pretty much how mine always go.
Yeah.
Or I end up on my ass, one or the other. But field goal kicking is very hard. I think punting is extremely hard too. Like you got to have a hell of a leg to be a good punter.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the science to punting too. Like some of these guys can place that ball inside the 5. That's pretty impressive.
But the best thing about kicking, it's like I always, used to tell my son like all the time, like you ever want to be a professional football player or a professional baseball player, if you're ever going to be a professional football player, either be a field goal kicker or a long snapper. All right, they don't get touched. Every team needs a good one. And if you're good, you can work 20-year career, make yourself a boatload of money, and walk out without all the bullshit injuries that everybody else walks out of. And in baseball, it's like left-handed reliever. You're a left-handed reliever in baseball. You're always going to have work, no matter what. And even if you're not very good, there's always teams that want a left-handed reliever, and maybe you'll work, I don't know, 2 innings a week, maybe. It's not a bad gig, and they pay.
I remember when my kid was real young, he was throwing the ball, and he was real young. You're throwing with like either hand. He started to get a little older, and it's down here. Like we used to throw in the basement. Like I didn't care. We'd set up targets and just throw around, and I'm just trying to feed him into that left hand. Wife was like, "Oh, he's a righty." I'm like, "No, he's not." I'm like, "Let him throw his left."
I always thought this: how great would an NFL quarterback be if they were ambidextrous enough to they can actually they had the equal amount of accuracy between their left hand and right hand, something that's never ever been done. I don't think it
No.
probably ever could be. It's just the mechanics of throwing one way is difficult enough. I mean,
But there's baseball players who have done it.
there
So
are
why couldn't
baseball
a
players.
quarterback do it?
Could you imagine
That
that?
would be something.
And you'd give defenses fits because
They
it
wouldn't
doesn't
know. Oh, my
matter
God.
if you come at if you're coming at me there's no blind side. If I can throw the
Right.
ball from with either arm, there's no blind side.
Like you're gearing up to throw it to right, you see the guy coming, you just slide it over to your left. That would
chuck
be
it.
incredible.
Yep.
That's never happened in football, huh?
Nope.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see.
Pretty cool.
So we talked about football and we talked a little bit about baseball. I
Yep.
guess it's since we're not big basketball fans, I guess it's only just, fitting that we eventually do talk about hockey.
Mhm.
So look, I'm not even gonna, there's so many other podcasts out there that will give you guys the, all the stats, everything, and we do that sometimes. But I'm not going to do it this time because there's just so much more to discuss about what's happening with this team right now. That I think we should just dive right in. We'll start with the good, man. Montreal, they started out a little slow again. They're down a goal. They catch back up. Then, really, the third period, they kicked it into high gear, and Toffoli gets the hat trick. Hughes gets 4 assists. They're all over the place. They look phenomenal. Vitek plays really, really good. A couple of defensive breakdowns, but it wasn't terrible, and they make it out with a 5-2 win.
It's pretty much what you'd expect to see. Like you could have had a more crisp, perfect game,
Sure.
but that is the type of execution we wanted to see against a lesser team. We wanted to see finally get a win by a little bit of margin instead of being so close or losing by one.
Against
so they got
a team
that, and
that you should beat.
you should beat. Yes, you're not always going to, but statistically, you should beat.
And then, you roll into Thursday, or Wednesday, rather, which was yesterday's game. All right. Let's just talk a minute about the first period, which might be the worst period of hockey I've seen the Devils play in over a year. I mean, it was abysmal. And we'll start up front. They were just not skating. You're playing a slow team. You're playing a team. Yeah, I get it. They're bigger and they're, very defensively responsible. I get that they were, trying to clog up the middle the whole night. That was the whole theme of Washington. But, you didn't even use your speed. You basically just let them do whatever they want. But Akira Schmid was so fucking terrible. I mean, this is now, I think, 3 starts in a row where he has looked worse each start.
Yeah, forget about looking human. He's looking alien. There's something wrong, which is going to be one of my keys later. But I don't really know how to place what's going on. Again, you do have the beginning of the season, right? So there's that microcosm that you're looking through, which does make everything worse. This is quite frankly alarming now at this point with Schmid. He looks like a shadow of himself.
I agree.
So, now, I had the fortune of not being able to watch this whole game to get a full feel for it. This is one of the, I think, 5 games on TBS I don't get with my new internet cable provider. I resigned to the fact I wasn't watching this game. I was actually at a Halloween parade, but of course I'm checking my phone. And I'm literally roller coaster of emotions. I look at it, I'm like, how is it 3-0 against Washington already? I'm like, thank God I'm here. I'm not going to watch this anyway, But of course, I couldn't not look. And then Derek starts texting. He's like, well, that's more like it. I'm like, what's that? So I look at my phone. It's still 3-0. I'm like, what's he talking about? Somebody scored a goal. So I think by this point we're home. Jamie and I are just watching something on TV. About 2 minutes goes by. I'm like, let me just refresh again. I'm like, it's 3-3. How the hell is it 3-3? And while I'm analyzing 3-3, because now I got to look at the highlights. Now I got to see what exactly is happening in this game, because I know they played like shit, but I wasn't getting the full understanding. And I see social media going off about how bad they're playing. And then Toffoli scores while I'm on it. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Like, that's the Devils I know. Yeah, we spotted you 3. Now we're going to come back and just gut punch you.
That's what so I watched the first period at work, and I'm completely disgusted. I have, the second period's about to start, but I'm taping it at home. That's when I actually threw in the group text, like, I'm going dark. Watch the rest of the game later at home, so don't text me anything about the game. So I get home, I sit down, put it on, started the second period, and they were a different team. second period was phenomenal. They were flying all over the place. They had let's also back up to the fact that they're playing a fucking against a goaltender that is what, his first NHL start.
Yeah,
This is
I
this
believe so.
dude
Yeah.
Shepard, I think was his name. First NHL start. We made him look like a fucking superstar,
Yes.
and he, didn't have to make any kind of miraculous saves because we really weren't testing him, especially in the first period. And then when we start in the second, it just, okay, here we go. Toffoli scores, Meyer scores. I think it was it Hughes that had the third one? Heischer's goal, which was a fantastic goal.
Oh, that
hard
was
working
epic.
goal.
Yeah.
I think it was Tom Wilson's trying to push him out, and he just kept his balance and kept his eye on the puck. Hard working,
falling and scoring,
and great goal. Jack again is just all over the place. I think he had 3 more points last night.
3 more assists. Yep.
Like, this dude is just on fire, and we could, I think, literally, realistically, easy for me to say, realistically start talking about this dude as the MVP because he's just playing that fucking good. And I don't know if there's, other than injury plaguing this dude, like, there's no slowing him down. No. But so, I'm like, okay, it's 3-3. And Tone and I are kind of texting a little bit, I'm like, I texted something like, it's just amazing to me how they can turn it on.
That's right.
And just do that.
Just
and
keep it the hell on.
They're up 4-3. Like, we got the lead. Like, this is okay. We're going into the third where it just, okay, Washington played a little bit better, but that's where, see, I thought first period, the whole team collectively played like shit. Second period, I thought that our forward groups really stepped up, got us to lead. Third period, I felt like our defense completely let us down. Right. Now, personally, I was very surprised that Vanacek was in the second because my whole thing is, this is early in the season. Keep Schmidt in. This is what I'm thinking in my head as I'm driving home to watch the second period. I'm wondering if Schmidt's going to start. What would I do? And I'm thinking I would keep him in. Because the bottom line is, we got to see really have to see what we have. And, if he goes out there and he gets absolutely fucking peppered and gives up 8, well, at least what you have. Now, I understand also, okay, maybe he's just having a bad night. Let's get him out of there. And also a goalie change, fire up the team, which it did. But the Schmid, we're going to talk about our goaltending issue. But before that, I want to talk about our defense, which is a shell of what it was last year. And going into this season, I didn't think that losing Severson and mostly Graves was going to hurt us the way that as badly as it is right now, because it's fucking killing us, especially Graves. What is your... It is. Yeah, talk about the defense.
I mean, listen, we joke about my affinity for Graves, right? But it was never a love affair because of anything flashy. I just happened to notice
his face.
It was his face and the hair, the way it flows when he skates.
His penis.
Yeah. So I just seemed to me that in almost every game, I'm sure it wasn't every game, there was at least 1 or 2 very subtle plays that were like almost absolute goal stoppers, like where you can almost legitimately say that was a saved goal in a way. And I just didn't notice that with anybody else individually, probably because I was so busy following Graves.
Right. You can't keep your eyes off of them.
It just stood out to me. Now, Severson, I didn't get that for. Like, I wasn't on the Severson bashing, but I didn't ever think he was known as kind of a pillar of defense back there. That's not what he was even meant for our team. But obviously, the collective having them both gone is hurting us. And we've talked a little bit about moving the defensive lines around, or moving a player or two. And if we don't find a way, once Miller gets healthy, to get in there and give it a try, I think something we've all said before is that it's going to be sooner than later for Nemec, because if you're going to have questions defensively, let's have the upside at the same time.
Well, here's the thing too, is even with the guys we have, the 6 that have started pretty much every game, right? The 6 that have been in there. Now, if these guys play a slow 5 minutes, Lindy's throwing the lines in a blender, but he has kept these pairings together since game 1. Like, it's time to at least maybe change it up. I mean, I just think, Marino has not found his game at all. And, we were talking about the why was he benched in that third period a couple games ago over Smith, where Smith had these glaring mistakes? I didn't realize that Marino was on the ice for all 4 of those or whatever of the Islander
Yeah,
goals
okay.
that night. He was on the ice for all of them. And then now when he had a couple of bad turnovers, and he's been playing with Luke Hughes, right? Or no. Yeah, he's been playing with Luke Hughes. Siegenthaler, Hamilton, it's been Hughes, Marino, and Ball and Siegenthaler. Am I right about that?
Why? I knew this like the back of my hand. Why am I forgetting now? But yeah.
Just double check that
Yeah.
if you can. But anyway, I think that, we have to do something as far as splitting these guys up. And, I thought Smith, again, I thought he had an okay game, even last night, except he's
Ball
still
and
taking.
Marino, Smith and Hughes. Yeah.
Right. And he's, Smith and Hughes.
Hughes.
Smith and Hughes, like, why are Smith and Hughes on the lines together? Like,
Yeah,
why?
I'd never liked that. Right.
Hughes should be playing with Marino.
Yes.
And, at least have Marino just worry about defense and, and that's what I would do. And Ball, I think, is playing pretty good, but I also think that he's maybe overcompensating for Brendan Smith playing poorly. And then, why not throw Siegenthaler down or Ball up with Hamilton and put Siegenthaler and Smith together? I don't know. But I think this defensive core right now, they are Swiss fucking cheese, man. It is really, really hard to watch. And here's the other thing. Like, we haven't played a top-notch team yet.
Right.
When we play a top-notch team, I think we're going to get smoked.
Well, unless they own up, pick up their competitive self when they get going. But I don't know. Listen, here's one thing I can tell you this. Since the beginning of time, excellent teams have been beaten by poor teams. It happens all the time, every day, every week.
Don't even bring up Monday night, because that was a good team beating a good team.
Wasn't going to do that.
Even though I said on this show, I'm going to go watch the Vikings get their asses kicked.
You did. That's okay. You were preparing yourself for what you thought was going to happen, and good for you. It went the other way.
Can I just talk real quick about football for a second?
Oh, yeah.
All right, just real quick.
I'll just go to the bathroom or something.
No. Now, Minnesota started off this year with high hopes. Everybody knew Detroit was going to be really good, so winning the division again was going to be tough. And we have played so poorly as far as turnovers go from day one. They've been moving the ball. They've been in between the 20s. They're going, they're up and down the field. They have had trouble punching it in. They've had to settle for field goals. And 4 times in the first 4 games, they fumbled or threw an interception in the red zone when they're about to go score a touchdown. Now, that's backbreaking. And every single time, except for Monday night, the other team went down and scored a touchdown. Mm-hmm. So you left 7 on the field and then gave them 7. If they had cleaned all those things up, if those bad plays weren't there, they would have beaten, or at least gone to overtime with Kansas City. They probably would have beaten Philadelphia. And then you throw Monday in, where they did play a full, complete game and looked great against San Francisco.
Entirely different record, entirely different team.
Could you imagine what the perception is in Minnesota if they beat Kansas City, Philadelphia, and San Francisco in the first 8 weeks of the year?
Perception is you just beat 3 of the top Super Bowl favorites.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, none of it means shit until Sunday. If you can go into Green Bay and do that again, I think, then okay. Right now, that game is, that's the biggest game of the year for them. If they can go in and do what they did last time, the other night on Monday to the Packers, I will be a believer that this team can make a run.
That's funny because I was at the gym today and I just saw it kind of scrolling on the bottom of one of the football programs, and they were doing who needs it more for the next win. And that one came up. And just instinctively, I said Minnesota, because I feel like if they get that win, they can actually go somewhere with it and kind of take off from there. I don't see anything specific happening with Green Bay. No. And they had it for all the matchups,
right.
But that one stuck out to me, and right away I said Minnesota. So
they do need it.
I mean, yeah.
And if they play the way that they played against San Francisco, they'll smoke them. And you even look at that San Francisco game, that was 3 times that they were in the red zone that they couldn't punch it in again and had to settle for field goals. That game could have been very lopsided. But there is a game tonight, and Buffalo is playing Tampa in Buffalo. So if anybody is going to throw a few bucks on that, I say do it on DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is the NFL season's going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. Oh, no, they're not. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener every game day this October. Right now, which is crazy, and I didn't check the line today, but I think yesterday the Packers were actually favored by 2. So I really like Minnesota to not only cover that win, but you do what you want. I got $5 on tonight's game. I don't remember exactly what the parlay I took, but anyway, get in on the game day greatness and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet just $5 on the NFL. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours.
I like that one.
Thank you. Gambling problem? You have a gambling problem, Bob?
Because
if you do, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance or 7 days, whichever comes first. Just a little tip. They're both the same. Sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Listen, Devils fans, we get it. Since the beginning of time, you've been dealing with Rangers fans coming into our building and acting like they own the place. Acting like it's a bonus home game because it's closer or less expensive, or more likely because they're just tired of that dumpy dark pit they call an arena.
It's a better arena.
Regardless of why, it sucks. But there is something we can do. For one night at least.
Bob?
Well, Chris, the Uncle Puckers, along with a few other Devils podcasts and content providers, are spreading the word to take over Madison Square Garbage on Monday, March 11th. Let's all get together in our best home reds and loudly, proudly support Jersey's team. You know, the playoffs last year in New York, we had the largest, most vocal showing of Devils fans in the 40-year history. We do have the fan base to take over that pit of despair, and we owe it to the entitled across the river to do just that. Understand, this is not about organizing one section of traveling fans, but rather a full infiltration of the world's most forgettable arena. So get whatever ticket you can, and together we can spread the red on Monday, March 11th.
World's most forgettable arena. I love it.
Love it.
I love it, Bobby. That was fantastic. So, very good. So,
let's do it.
I agree. We need to go, and we need to just let the Ranger fans know that their bullshit will no longer be tolerated, because anything they can do, we can do better. I think, yes. And it's never been done. We've never actually had. Now, you're right. The playoff game was a big deal. There were a ton of Devil fans at those Ranger games. And, you know, Let's Go Devils was audible from home watching it. And it was awesome to see. Now, imagine what we do if we all actually plan this and we all get together and we head down there. It's going to be awesome. It is going to be awesome. And hopefully the Devils will have their shit together by then. Now, let's talk goaltending, because if Akira Schmid continues to play this way, he's not going to be with this team much longer. Now, I don't know what the options are. I don't know if Keith Kincaid is healthy, if he can come over from Chicago. I don't know, because right now, the way that you can tell what their plan was these guys were pretty much going to get a split. I mean, unless somebody really stepped in and if VTech really just took off and, okay, we're going to run this guy. We also have the most back-to-backs than any team in the NHL this year.
A couple years in a row again. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to need that second goaltender, and we're going to need him to play well. And if it's not Akira Schmid, then who? And if you do ride Vitek Vanacek, as well as he's been playing, he has been playing great. We know how Vitek plays towards the end of the season when he's overworked. And he hasn't proven to us yet that that's not his MO. Right now it is. So what the hell are these guys going to do about goaltending right now?
Well, listen, that's a later in the year problem, to be honest with you. Right now, I think that what has to happen is VTech, when the schedule allows, needs to just kind of get in there and get a little more rhythm. If it's a day on, day off, day on, like
Talking
let them
Schmidt
get
or VTech?
VTech. Let them
Okay.
get a couple of starts in a row. Let the goalie coaches and people work with Schmidt a little bit. Just get his confidence back. Whatever they do for that, show him film, show him how great he was last year against the Rangers, like anything, but just ease him off just a little bit. Just let it roll like we've got one guy who's going to take it. Just I'm talking next week, like those first two in a row. Don't go V and right back to Schmidt. Just go V, day off, V. Just give him a little bit of a mental break, I think.
Well,
and if nothing else, he deserves to sit.
Right.
For right now.
The way the schedule is breaking now, that VTech will be in net tomorrow against Buffalo. Then we play on Sunday against the Wild, and then we don't play again. It's a home and home,
Right.
so we play Thursday in Minnesota. I do expect VTech to play the next three.
Yes.
But I'm real nervous that what if VTech falls apart? Like we were shouting from the rooftops, especially after the playoffs last year. They have to do something about goaltending, and I think we all drank the Kool-Aid throughout the summer. And okay, yeah, maybe these guys can do it. And look what Schmidt did against the Rangers, and Schmidt played pretty well throughout the season. But I'm gonna say something now. I never fucking thought that I was ever gonna say, and at this moment right now, 6 games into the season or 7 games into the season. How many games have we played? 7, right?
7. Yeah.
7. 7 games into the season. I will take
6.
Mackenzie Blackwood and the way he's playing in San Jose over Akira Schmidt right now. And I despise Mackenzie Blackwood as a goaltender. And that's how down I am on Schmidt.
Listen, this is just the way the script has to be written for drama. Like, he's not supposed to go over there and do as good as he's doing, because then we got to talk about that. And our guys aren't supposed to be doing as bad as they're doing, because everyone was hyping up the Devils, and now they're looking kind of pedestrian. But let me tell you something. Let me get back to the point I was going to make before. Okay. Every team gets beat up by bad teams. We were the bad team for a decade, and how many of those times have we faced like the Stanley Cup champion and we beat them? And we're always like, why can't we play like this against everybody? Then maybe we wouldn't be a bad team. It happens. Nobody has a rationale for it, but it's bullshit and it's got to stop. Of course, it's not an excuse. But the other thing is we're about 7% into the season. You know what I mean? It's really infant. We're 1 point away from first place in the Metro. Nobody's running away with this yet. I know it hurts to have these points go away, but it really is under the microscope now more than it probably would be at any time. I mean, even, after the really good start last year, when the Devils hit that major slide in December, like, I don't even think that was under the microscope as much as this.
No, I agree.
And what compounds it is some of the other teams that are expected to be Stanley Cup favorites are like undefeated right now. So all the Devils fans are comparing, how can we be 2-1 or whatever if they're 6-0? And it doesn't make sense. And you start to really think, can we even hang with these people? I just say there's a lot to get, covered. The defense will pick it back up. The underlying problems are there. Now they're getting better at their 5-on-5 play.
Yes, especially last night.
It's a slow crawl. Like, you don't see it so dynamically, but it is getting better. But to what we were talking about before, Jack Hughes, 17 points.
Ridiculous.
Jesper Bratt, 10 points. Toffoli, 9 points. Dougie Hamilton, 6 points. Okay, 4 key guys. We got a +1, a -1, a +1, and a -2. How does Jack Hughes have 17 points and be a +1? He's not exactly the guy out there letting goals in. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's ridiculous. Bratt, too, our number 2 scorer, is a -1.
Our penalty kill is horrific.
Yeah.
It's horrific this year. We cannot stop. It all boils down to our defense. It boils down to the fact that, certain good penalty killers are taking stupid penalties too, like Smith and Marino, in that last game. Like, dude, we need you on the ice. You can't be taking these stupid penalties. But the penalty kill right now is just terrible. The power play is outstanding. The Jack Hughes is just, look, man, I have never, he's just so worth the money. I mean, like the price of admission, like anybody who is even not a Devil fan, when the Devils come to your town, you're going to shell out your $150 just to go see Jack play.
They were talking on, one of the NHL morning shows, on Sirius XM, and they were mentioning how Jack's underlying numbers, and those are the advanced stats, and I'm not going to pretend to tell you I understand completely, right? Are just as good as they're saying. And they were basically saying something like, when you watch him, it looks like he's literally taking over the game and is absolutely the reason that everything positive is happening. And then you can actually go to those advanced metrics and say, it's true. What you're seeing is actually what's happening. He is that good. He is driving the entire play every time he's on the ice. So when you mention MVP, unless they straight up go with flat out points again, and barring McDavid being hurt for too long, he's going to run away with the points probably. He will be a legitimate, candidate.
I do think that there is some things positives you could take away, and not just with the Devils. Like, look, Carolina's playing terrible, Edmonton's playing terrible, New Jersey's playing meh. This is three teams that a lot of people had at the end of the season. These are three teams that were going to be there, whether it's a conference final, if it's cup final, even cup winner. Does anybody think, honestly, that New Jersey, Carolina, and Edmonton aren't going to make the playoffs? No, I think they're going to probably figure their shit out, especially Carolina. And I think more so the Devils than Edmonton right now, because I think Edmonton has some serious problems. We have one bad goaltender. They have two. And I'll say the same thing, actually, with Carolina, too. All right, how's this? We have one bad goalie. Edmonton has two bad goalies. Carolina has three bad goalies. Yeah, and they're giving up goals left and right. So I know it is early in the season. Everything is kind of wonky and things settle down and teams kind of fall into place and throughout the season. But I think it is to the expectation as a fan that this team of what they're what everything they did in the offseason, everything they did last year, like this isn't supposed to happen. I just hope that we don't figure it out too late, because I just think there's way too many good teams that you can't fuck around like this. You have to, but at the same time, you watch that second period last night and it's like, you can't touch these guys and it's, when Jack's going and everybody follows and then Heischer's chipping in. There are a couple of guys though I am genuinely concerned about. Dawson Mercer. I am genuinely concerned about, dude. He's invisible.
Yeah, it's his all-around play too. It's not just that he is not putting up points.
Right.
He's not driving anything. Like there's really nothing. There's really nothing going on there. Ebbs and flows is what I'm hoping. I think that at some point, I think that we are not too far away from inserting maybe a new defenseman of a certain caliber. Like if we can get Miller healthy enough to try him out, to see if that can kind of reseat everybody, maybe, because I don't like that middle pair. I don't think it. Ball to me should be the third pair lesser minute guy.
See, I disagree. I think Ball should be with Hamilton. I do.
I know, but Siegs and Hamilton were such a good pair last year. And then if you want to mimic kind of what happened, that's why Hughes should be up with Marino, because Severson left. It kind of gives that same feel. But anyway, I guess either one, I'm more comfortable with that than I am with kind of that sixth guy. And I think if Miller gets a shot and he can't quite figure it out, I think that's going to be the first trade you see. Like some kind of just real steadying presence back there.
I agree. I do agree. And you need it. And again, they're still kind of, I thought last night they played a little bit more physical. Meyer was taking the body and Toffoli was taking the body. I absolutely fucking love what Tyler Toffoli's done so far this season. And just, and look, man, the first couple of games, the lines weren't working. They juggled them up and those lines have been clicking. I think the McLeod line has been skating their ass off. I think they're playing pretty good. I think their opportunities will come. McLeod's got some great hands. He's fast, and he's got a shot that people, I think, is underrated. I think Lazar's been playing pretty good. But again, Thomas Nosek not being there, I think, hurts. Eric Holla. Do you feel like Eric Holla, for some reason, is just getting fucking his ass beat every night he's out there? Like, I'm like, dude, this guy's taking some huge hits, man. Like, you got to, I don't know what to do, but, like, you're not going to make it 82 games, dude. You got to.
I wonder what that is. Is it people keying in on him? Or is it just
like
that he's so into every single play and shift that he's put himself in those positions? I wonder. Like, is he a hated guy? I know Carolina hates him.
I mean, maybe. But there are some dudes that I think, I love the way Palat's been playing, and we know they can score goals. but
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be in a fucking shootout 5-6 every single night because our defense isn't
Yeah.
playing so good. I mean, that was and look, people are playing the Devils very different now. When, they go in, they know how to play them. They're going to take away their speed. They're going to, that's their main thing. Take the speed away. Don't let them get
Right.
going. Don't let them get cycling in the offensive zone. And I feel like right now we're just nowhere near as crisp as we should be.
We're
And
not, but people are trying to do that to us, and we're still putting up the offense. That's
yeah,
not the problem. The goals are aplenty.
but
We
when
should be
you
winning
play,
any game that we put up 4 or 5 goals.
yeah, but when you play a game like last night, right? We played a great second period, but in the third period, we really couldn't get the offense going because our passes weren't crisp. They weren't, that's the key
Gotcha.
to
Yeah.
the Devils being this offensive powerhouse. And I know that'll come. I do have faith in this team, but I mean, if this thing doesn't get turned around quick, next thing you know, you're at the 15 game, 20 game mark. And if things aren't
Yeah.
looking good, that's where you worry because now you're going to be playing catch up the whole season. And that just makes
Yeah.
me nervous.
I mean, I'm trying to be, the optimistic guy, the homer. I mentioned, of course, that, it's under a microscope and it's early and there's no momentum. But the other side of that is cut the bullshit. Okay. Not only is the season been going on for 2 weeks and that many games, but it's not just the games. It's the games, it's the practice, it's the tape. All these messages are getting drilled into their heads over and over and over again. Like, cut the shit. No more bad starts. What
Well,
the hell is that even? How do you do that? You take the last period of the game 2 games ago, and then Montreal, for the most part, even that first period was pretty good. They had 4 solid periods. And I was like going into that Washington game, I expected to pick up my phone and see us up 3-0 in the first couple minutes.
Yeah.
That's how they were rolling. So where that comes from, I have no idea.
To go and look, Washington had their back against the wall. They needed a win. I get it. They're going to play with the urgency and everything. And, they're still, have some playmakers on that team. And if maybe Vanacek starts that game, maybe we win it. Maybe we win it 4-2, 4-3. Maybe we win in overtime, whatever. Maybe we get a point out of it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Akira Schmid, had a bad night. Okay. Like you said, let Vanacek kind of settle the ship. Put him in the next couple of games. I don't necessarily know if I trust that Lindy's going to do that. I mean, I just don't know. I mean,
Right.
I think you should.
He's going to do what he's going to do.
We have some tough games, man. Buffalo, especially away from home. Buffalo's a good team away from home. They're a good road team. But
and even if they weren't, Buffalo's just a good game away from snapping out of it, and they've been getting better too.
Yeah.
And as you and I both said, during the preseason, like, we expect this team to almost not be last year's Devils, because that was quite a jump, but one of the teams that takes that major jump. And right now it's looking like that's the Red Wings, which is scary if they can both possibly do that. Like you said, there's only so many points to go around.
Exactly. And that's what makes me a little nervous. I mean, I thought that Boston would struggle. I was completely wrong about that. Boston is playing, just like they did all last year in the regular season. Red Wings.
I also thought they were going to fall off hard, not as far as you, but I agree they were going to fall many levels.
Yeah,
and of course they got to be 6-0 just because. They're not even 5-1; they're 6-0.
So I mean, look, what do you expect tomorrow against Buffalo? Let's just kind of touch on that. I'm not gonna, I don't think we're gonna have time I'll have time to put the little keys of the game up against Buffalo tomorrow morning. So in lieu of that, what are your keys to a Devils win against Buffalo? And then I want to talk about the Frozen Frenzy. But what are your keys to a win tomorrow at home against the Sabres?
Okay. So the one I already said, just no more bullshit, no more excuses. I want to see just coming out firing. Like, you're beyond that now. You want to be a championship team. This is it. So get that.
They should be pissed now, right?
They should
be pissed.
There's no more lessons to be learned. I think I said that 2 games ago. Like, stop with the lessons. Now you were down 3-0, and you showed, we can come back on that. But then, a little too late, because on any team you're going to play, if you have to come back from 3 goals, there's still a really good chance they're going to get the next one. That's just how it kind of works out most of the time. So no more of that crap. Really tired of that. Let V get a couple starts in a row. So it's kind of everything we already talked about. Schmid, just mental break, whatever it is. He's definitely not himself. And then my third key is Mercer's got to get going. And again, it's not even that I'm saying he needs to get on the score sheet, which he obviously does, but our forwards are picking up the slack. I just need to see him do something.
Yeah.
break up a good play, harder on the boards. I don't know, like just literally invisible is exactly how you said it. So you get him going. Again, it just seats everybody a little better, and then maybe everybody loosens a stick, plays a little better defensively. I don't know if they think they got to go out and score 6 goals a game. I don't know what it is, but those are my 3 keys, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to play a great game. I am not guaranteeing that means they're going to win, though, but I think they're going to play a full 60.
Well, I think that's the key. You want to win, play a full 60. It's really that simple. Play your game, come out hard, be pissed. Be fucking pissed. You have given the home crowds almost nothing to cheer for in some of these games. You're playing at home now. You have the next 2 at home. There's no excuses anymore. You're 100% right when you say there's nothing left to learn. There are no lessons left to learn. This team knows how to win. Prove it. One thing I am happy about is that VTech has been playing very well. So I hope that continues. But you're playing a Buffalo team that is going to have their eyes on coming in here and kicking your ass. And I think that we can beat that team. I'm not going to say we're, like you said, I don't know if we're going to. But just if you play a 60-minute game and you play as hard every game, every period, the way you played the second period last night against Washington. Like, I honestly thought, okay, not only were we playing the Capitals, they're starting a rookie goaltender who has never started a game before. And I'm like, we're going to put 8 up tonight.
Yeah. Especially once we got the 4th.
Right.
I was like, there's no sort of, what I liken it to, which is weird because it was a much more huge dramatic moment. But like 2015, when the Mets were playing against the Cardinals to try to get to the World Series, and Andy Chavez made that incredible catch over the wall in left field, snags the home run, all the momentum going the Mets way. All they got to do now is just come down and just like win that game, and they shit the bed.
Yep.
It was kind of like, now I know it's a single regular season hockey game, and it's not nearly as big as that moment. But I felt like if you're going to do all that and you're going to get to that 4th goal, now just play your game the rest of the game. You don't need to be superheroes. And that should have been an instant W.
100%. Yeah, take what you need. Sorry. You want to come say hello to on the podcast? Okay. Sawyer,
hello.
Say hi to Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
What's up, bud?
All right, bud. You all right? Where you going?
He's going upstairs.
Oh, okay. All right, man.
He's only about 3 feet bigger than the last time I saw him.
Dude, he's huge, right? I fucking look up to him. I can't believe this freaking kid is only 15 years old. He's like almost 6 foot. Yep. But they got to definitely come out, play hard, play from the get go, be pissed, play with a fucking edge, and stay out of the penalty box because our penalty kill sucks. Like that's the other thing. But off the Devils, what did you think of the Frozen Frenzy?
I like it. I mean, I really do. I didn't get to partake that much in everything that was going on, but just knowing it was happening and knowing, I was watching more of like just the NHL network and just kind of keeping up what's going on. I really found it interesting. The next morning, listened to, the guys on the radio talking about the total number of shots and goals and penalty minutes, like all that happened in one night. I thought it was great. I don't see any reason why they can't do it even more.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. So I went up to Philadelphia on Tuesday to take my daughter to a concert. So she was meeting a bunch of friends up there. I'm still not comfortable with driving in the city, so I brought her. So I'm like sitting in the car in this like shady, parking lot underneath an elevated train, and I'm like, all I'm thinking is like, I hope this concert ends before the Phillies game ends because I'm never getting home after Game 7, right? Like I'm looking at the clock, like I'm in there, like at the show, I hear the show, like I'm inside the place before after I was done watching hockey, I went into the concert and I'm like hanging out by the bar area, just watching the Phillies game. And I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm asking like people at work, they're like, what time do you guys cut this off? Because it's the 8th inning and I got to get the fuck out of here. But I sat in the car and I put on at like 6:00, I think was the first game, right? That was that Toronto Tampa game. So I watched that. And then I watched whatever game came on. I was just watching whatever games came on up to the Devils. And then I had the Devils on. And then intermissions, I was flipping over to the Frozen Frenzy. I was like, this is fantastic, bro. Yeah. Other than my drive home from Philadelphia, which took about, an hour and a half, I watched hockey on Tuesday from 6:00 at night until 1:45 in the morning.
And what a thing for you, because you're in a position where you're kind of stuck there. You have nothing to do. And you got all that going on your phone.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And you know, I know that they talked about, you know, possibly doing it again. I think that they should do this because do think that the staggered starts are awesome, but when you have hockey games ending at almost 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern
Yeah.
time, that's brutal.
Yeah.
But after football ends, you know, maybe in February or, you know, late February, March on a Sunday, you start like a lot of these Eastern Conference games and stuff or East Coast games at like noon. And you do a 15-minute stagger of all 32 teams. You do your 16 games, but you start at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that would be awesome. And then, you know, you finish up at a reasonable hour. Everybody gets their whole day of hockey in as like, you know,
Yeah.
sitting down and watching Red Zone at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's
You know,
nothing
it's
better.
probably going to work too because we finally have the ability now for the NHL. They provided us a way to do that for a lot less money than it used to be. So again, you go back to like when I moved out to Pennsylvania. First, I had to buy the package, and the package did come with all the teams, right? But I didn't have time personally to watch all the teams, and it was very expensive. And every year it went up by $20, and before you know, you're paying like a couple hundred, which in the grand scheme of things is like, listen, you do the math. I'm watching a hockey game for $1.50 a game, like no problem, I'm going to do it. But you're paying at the time you're paying it does seem very expensive. And then they came out with kind of an a la carte, pick your team,
Right.
save like 50%. Most people probably did that. I didn't like the change over to the ESPN platform at first, but then you look at it and what do we say? What do we say? It was like $7.99 a month last year. Now it's $9.99, whatever. So,
Yeah.
but for $10 a month, which is very palatable, right? Especially
Right.
since you're not locked into these years anymore. You could, oh, my team's out of playoffs. I'm done. I only needed 5 months worth.
Right.
To have all those other teams, it just a lot more people now have the ability to do that, and they will want to follow that.
Yeah.
And as we talked about too, even if they hadn't earlier in their lives, every time you were in an intermission, so was the other team anyway, so you weren't going
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah.
And I understand why the cable providers didn't like it because they wanted to get their advertising revenue and all that. But
Right.
for the fan, this is actually something they can easily get now.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
pretty cool.
if you have the majority of starts starting at 7 o'clock around here, and you know Devils are on, Rangers are on, you know whatever other games start at 7. Like as soon as you're intermission, like I'll flip over to the Ranger MSG channel and I'll catch the last 3 minutes of that period or whatever. But then I'm just scrolling trying to find games. Like the staggered start was awesome. It was just so friggin' cool to be able, and I think they should maybe stagger the starts of games, start one, maybe at 6, and then why does every game have to start at
It
7?
doesn't have
like
to
you
be
said?
frozen frenzy to do
Right.
it. Just change
Yes,
it up.
I liked it. I mean, I know it sucked for some teams. Like I know the coach of the Red Wings was bitching. His game I think started at like almost 8:30, and he was like, it's an hour and a half later than we usually play. I don't have my family coming, and the kids got to get up for school in the morning or whatever. He was pissed off about it, but
and for that's why it will maintain a rarity and something
right,
fun.
right.
But there's still within reason in your local regions where you can more easily do it.
Yeah.
7:15, 7:30.
I
just the whole East Coast. If you did that, where a
Yeah.
few teams were 7, a few teams were 3, at least you have some options to flip over. Because some of these matchups are really intriguing. Like who doesn't want to turn on an Avalanche game right now?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
who doesn't want to watch that?
Vegas.
I mean, they're just playing killer hockey. So you just turn that on for a few minutes.
So the Hurricanes are losing again as we speak. It is 2-1 Seattle at the end of the second. And that is now the Hurricanes are finally home now. I think they've spent a lot of their time on the road. We have the Islanders right now are up 2-1 over Ottawa, which, they started off hot and they are really kind of falling off. How about these Philadelphia Flyers? Are they for real?
Not long term, I don't think. I mean, they're
going
to have the work
over
ethic.
Minnesota right now. And you got the Maple Leafs are up 1-0 over the Stars. The rest of the games today are going to see the Rangers and Edmonton at 9. That's going to be a fun game. I'm really curious to watch that game. And Flames and Blues at 9 as well. So, the Lightning. I missed a couple of games here. The Canadians are losing to the Blue Jackets 3-2 right now. Lightning are up 5-0 against the Sharks. I maybe want to retract my Mackenzie Blackwood statement. If he's in net, let's see. Is he in net? Yes, he is. 5 goals on 21 shots. You made 16 saves. There you go, San Jose. Have fun with him.
See, okay, the universe is starting to right itself. Everything's going to start going the right
Maybe it
way.
is because Pittsburgh is up 3-0 over Colorado at the end of the second right now.
I was just about to point out Pittsburgh as being one of the worst teams to start the season, and then you go ahead and say that. So yeah,
and we're saying about the Red Wings, they're actually down a goal, 2-1 over Winnipeg right now. Man, there's a lot of hockey on tonight. The Bruins are beating the Ducks 3-1. This is the one thing I will say about the Bruins, though. They really haven't played anybody yet. They have had a pretty soft schedule.
Right.
Now, listen, we've had a pretty soft schedule too, and we're not winning. But they definitely have had a little bit of a softer schedule. But did you watch any of the Bruins Chicago Blackhawk game on Frozen Frenzy?
No.
I think that Todd Marchant really introduced the NHL to Connor Bedard. If you watch any of those highlights, dude, he was such a fucking agitator to Connor Bedard. I actually felt a little bad for Connor.
I did see the highlights about that. I saw them talking about that.
You know how Marchand can play, and like he was just being a little dick like he always is, and you're just watching Bedard, and for the first time he really did kind of look like a little kid. I was like, oh man, this guy, he's got a lot to learn, but he's that goal, if anything is going to change that offside rule, it's going to be that Connor Bedard can't score goals because of it,
Yes.
I think the NHL kicked themselves in the ass about that rule on that play specifically. They don't give a shit about anybody else, but they want to protect Connor Bedard. But
sure,
man,
yeah, of course they do.
But man, he's going to be a hell of a player. So anyway, all right, tomorrow we got the Buffalo Sabres. Is there anything else you want to discuss this evening, Robert?
No, I think that's good, man. Just it's just time to turn this around. We're looking at some of these teams that are losing that are supposed to be all around us. So you can, one hand, be like, oh, see, so we're not that bad. We're right with them. But the other side of that is if we just put a few more of these together, we'd be that much above them right now.
You're
right.
You
really want to start taking advantage of this. So, I think for the fans, everybody's waiting for this year's 13-game winning streak, and it's probably not going to happen. I mean, even a 6 or 7 is statistically a very difficult streak to do.
They'll have a couple of those this year. They'll have a couple of 6-7 game win streaks. And for I know that I was especially a little pessimistic on this show. I said it on the keys to the Capital game. We lost to the Capitals. Right, that was the last game we lost before we went on our 13-game win streak last year. Yeah. So we just lost to the Capitals, and let's see. Maybe they can put something together. Are you willing to throw a score out there or any kind of little prediction on that game just for fun?
For the Buffalo game?
Yeah.
What kind of team am I going to see come out is the question here.
Yeah,
I do believe they're going to come out pretty hard. I think they're going to play a solid 60. I said that they could play a really good game and still not wind up winning, but let's go with the win. Not super easy, but a little more room. I'm going to go with like a 4-2.
Okay. All right.
So look closer than it is, but it'll be a win. 4-2.
I hate predicting scores, but I'll say 4-3 overtime. Ooh. It'll be 3-3 at the end of regulation, and the Devils will win in overtime, and that'll set them up. And I think they've so far been a better road team. So just start getting these home wins together, man. Don't give people a reason not to show up. Like Winnipeg. That's they can't fill their arena. If you're not filling your arena this early in the season, there's a problem. I get it. It's not a Tuesday in February, against fucking the Coyotes or whatever. Like we should keep that place full. Yeah. Just start strong, man. Just. There's 60 minutes, dude. You can play 320s. That's it. That's all I want to see.
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing what this team can do for a period at a time, and just put the damn thing together.
Exactly. And when they finally do, it'll be a ridiculous, it'll be an 8-2 game. When they finally decide, all right, we're done fucking around. But more so than that, look, the goal scoring is not the problem. The defense has got to tighten up. That is the biggest thing. I don't know what they're going to do to change it. I don't know if they're going to send anybody or they're going to, shuffle up the defensive pairings, but something's got to be done. Defensively, they've just been god-awful. So, clean that shit up.
There's no denying it.
And clean it up. But we will be back on Saturday evening. Bobby won't be here. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Big
But
day for me.
you have other fun stuff to do. If anybody, not that anybody noticed, but you can tell how much of a life I don't have when I'm the only one that's been here for every show. Like
You got the streak, bro.
Oh God, it's fun though. I love doing this, and and thank you guys for checking us out. We really do appreciate it. We see it every week. The show's growing a little bit, and it's because of you guys that check us out, and we really appreciate the hell out of you. So wherever you are watching us, please subscribe, like, download. Throw us a positive comment, throw us a DM, or email us at unclepuckers@gmail.com. We loved the one message we got from somebody, so it'd be nice to maybe get another one. So yeah, it'd be nice to hear from the listeners.
We see so many like awesomely opinionated people on social media, not the guys that are too high or too low, but like the people put some thought into it. And I would love to get into any conversation with them,
Absolutely.
any question or statement or challenge us. It's just really interesting stuff. There's so many knowledgeable Devils fans out there. I want to hear from them.
And we would love to. And let us know, like, not just about them, whether, even if you hate us, we'd love to know why. And we would, especially like if you just hated maybe, me. I'd love to.
Yeah, like I know why I hate Chris.
Right.
So maybe we can both talk about,
why
if it's
I'm
the same.
such a douche. But
right.
So, and tell us what you think about this team so far. What does Lindy need to do with the defensive pairings? Are we in trouble with goaltending? Like we don't know everything. We want to hear from you guys. You're part of the show. And so thank you guys checking us out. For Bobby, I'm Chris. We're the Uncle Puckers, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Later.